Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
If you're gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Why, hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 266 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know there's lots of choices of things that you could be doing right now, and I do appreciate you putting me inside your ears to listen to episode 266. But I wanted to start this episode with my news, because guess what? My giddy aunt, I have just pre-launched my brand new book this week, and I am so freaking proud of this book and the impact it's going to have on regional small businesses, or really any small business. The book is called Small Town Big Impact, and it has 107 simple marketing strategies for regional business success. If you follow me on social, you might have already seen the front cover, which was the bane of my existence trying to choose that darn thing. But I am shocked with how it's turned out. It goes to the printing press on the 1st of November, so not too far away at all. But we are in pre sale. So if you'd like to check out the book, share the link with 100 of your friends, or maybe just one or two, or get yourself a copy. Then head to my website and have a look inside the shop. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Socialmediaandmarketing.com.au, of course, is my website, and click the shop button and you will see my book there. Otherwise, come to the show notes and you will find it there as well. I would love any and all support you can give this book at this stage. Like I said, it's on pre-sale. I will be starting deliveries on the 1st of December or earlier if possible. But yeah, that's my big news. And I'm just so excited to share that with my podcasting community as well, and with you. Of course, if you are enjoying this podcast, and this one is a ripper, today I have a guest on, Christy Robinson, and we are talking about your business lifestyle, having a business and having a lifestyle. It's a really great conversation. If you love it, take a screenshot of you listening wherever you are and upload it onto socials and tag me, and maybe even tag Christy Robinson as well, and let her know how much you appreciated all her insights on this podcast. Of course, you can find the show notes, which will have lots of links in it today because there is a guest on. So there's all the guest links. You will find that at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/266. But before we get on to Christy, did you get a chance to listen to last week's episode? The episode where I gave like 5 plus a few more ways to find content in your business using different online tools. Now, finding content that your audience will engage in and will actually read and interact with, like that's a problem that so many small business owners come to me and say, Jen, how can I just keep producing more and more content? Well, I guess the hint is you don't have to, you can repurpose it. But that's not the idea of episode 265. It was about opening your eyes at all the different ways you can find content. I've had some great feedback on that, like I've never thought of looking there before, Jen, or I've never heard of that platform before, Jen. So go and have a listen when you're finished here to episode 265, all about content and where to find content. Like I said, though, I do have a guest this week. Her name is Christy Robinson. Christy is a small business coach and consultant, a speaker, and a podcast host. And just a side note, I was on Christy's podcast, which is called Run Your Business Like a Boss, on episode 119 for her. The link's in the show notes, but if you go to Run Your Business Like a Boss, look up episode 119, just for starters. Come and listen to us too. I'm talking all about email marketing on that one. But back to Christy. Today, we are talking about burnout or making sure you don't get there, scaling your business, or maybe even not scaling your business, 100% up to you. And we talk about lifestyle and business and how to set up your business operational model for both your lifestyle and your business so it works together. Um, Basically how to operate your business like you want to. It is a fabulous interview. I hope that you really enjoy it. So here it is. Here's my chat with Christy. Christy, welcome to the podcast. Pretty excited to chat about our conversation today. And we've had a great conversation beforehand, which has really mean to my audience listening. But yeah, it's been really good to catch up with you again. So thanks for joining me.
Jen, I appreciate you. I'm so glad to be here today.
We've had a great conversation about patriarchy and Barbie movie and soccer and all sorts of different things. But we're going to talk about business and lifestyle today on the podcast. But some of those subjects will probably come back up again and do full circle. But Chrissy, for my beautiful listener who may not have come across you or may want to learn more about you, could you tell us a little bit about your business and a little bit about you?
Yes. So I'm a business coach and I am based in Brisbane, Australia, and I work with business owners who are in that messy middle stage of business, Jen. That's that stage, if you're unaware, you're coming out of startup, everything feels really sticky and really hard, and you're just trying to overcome the challenges of growth. So I help business owners who are coming through that stage that are wanting to create greater sustainability in their business so that A, they can grow, and B, they can also enjoy their lifestyle as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of figure it's almost like you're coming out of the trading money for time phase where you're kind of like, I don't have the money, so I'll do everything myself. And then you're getting to the stage where you've got a little bit of money and you're like, ooh, where's that best invested? Perhaps getting someone to do I used to call them $10 an hour tasks, but no one does anything for $10 now. So they're more like $50 an hour tasks. Should you be spending money there or what should you be investing? So I think that is a really great phase of business. And it's a really exciting phase of business if you've made it through the startup. However long startup is, of course, startups can be all sorts of different lengths as well, can't they?
Oh, 100%. Every business is unique and every business growth cycle is unique. So, yeah, startup for some people can be 12 months, others it could be 5 years.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things that you refer to a couple of times is the hamster wheel of business. So let's start there. What is the hamster wheel of business? How do we get off it? And why should we get off it other than for our own sanity, I guess?
Yeah. So I look at the hamster wheel of business where you feel like, or you are working that 50, 60-hour week. You're trying to juggle all the multiple facets of your business. You are touching all the things in your business. And it feels like you're just stuck in this cycle that you can't get off. It's a really tricky stage of business. And it's very, very typical for the messy middle business owner who hasn't yet figured out what they want to outsource, what they need to streamline, how to change the landscape of their business because let's face it, Jen, there's so much momentum that you carry through from that startup stage. And so it's hard to go, oh, well, I don't want to step on the butterfly in case I change too much. And then what ends up happening is that because you're super savvy, you're super capable, you continue to do all the things in your business yourself. But that's the fast track to burnout.
Yeah, I know there's a stat, and it's a very, I guess it's a pre-pandemic stat, but I guess it can't get much higher that 4 out of 5 small business owners fail in the first 5 years of business. But the way I look at that is actually no one fails in business, but they burn out. And that's exactly what you're saying. Like 4 out of 5 small business owners, I feel burn out in the first 5 years because of exactly what you're saying. And also that they just I guess can't get enough customers to come and buy things often enough, come back often enough. They don't quite get that referral basis and building their community type of right. So the burnout, I guess, can be seen as failure, but it's really not. And what obviously you try and do is help people before they get to that stage, before they're getting to that burnout stage by not touching everything, not being across everything.
Yeah, and the way I describe it is that if you're doing repeatable tasks in your business, it's a sunk cost on your time. And
Mhm.
so it's really important that you do take this step back in this messy middle stage of business to figure out, what does my operational model look like? Because if your business isn't sustainable, if you are working that 50 to 60 hours per week every single week, you're not going to be in it 5 years from now. It's impossible. And, what I noticed, Jen, and you probably would have noticed the same, so many business owners came back at the start of this year following the summer break, still burnt out, still exhausted, because so many people were working really, really hard over the pandemic and they just can't catch up.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. Like there was so many, unfortunately, there was an enormous amount of businesses that, didn't make it through the pandemic, enormous amount of people who couldn't work through the pandemic. But I personally, it was one of the busiest times in my entire business, and I did feel that. I think I took off from the end of November to the start of January, and I still felt like I just hadn't recovered, which and I look after myself fairly well, I think. So, anyone who wasn't recognizing the signs, I guess, is, starting further behind the starting line as well. So I guess how do we how do we combat this? Because obviously, well, not obviously, most people went into small business because they didn't want to work 9 to 5, 5 days a week. And then, of course, they find themselves working 24/7 in their own businesses. So, like, what are the things that we can do to stop that? Like you talked before about, operational things and changing things in your business and looking at your business model. But where does that start for someone who perhaps is listening and they're kind of like, "Are you talking to me today?"
Yeah. So the first thing that I want to say is just acknowledging that when you get started with your business, you're following a lot of intuition, you're following a lot of theory based
Mhm.
decisions. And, there's always going to be a little bit of that throughout the entire business journey. But in the beginning, you don't really know. You're doing a lot of educated guessing. And also, when you start your business, you're not setting your business up for scale. You're starting your business, get your website out there, get your offers out there, get your clients, and you're not really thinking about volume. So that I just really want to acknowledge that it's very normal to get to this stage because it's kind of irrelevant to think about volume at the starting block. So that's
Okay.
why we end up here at this messy middle stage of business where we're still doing so much manually. So, what do we do here? Well, for me and my clients, we always start with what I call the bedrock of the business, and we're resetting the business strategy, or in fact, for some people, setting the business strategy, because it'd be completely okay not to have a strategy in the early days, but you need one at this stage because this is the transformative stage to scale. So, the first thing that I would encourage anyone to do in terms of setting your operational model is to step back and look at your bedrock, which is your vision, your mission, and your values. And the reason why, particularly the vision piece, is so important is because the way I see the vision is it's essentially your long range goal. Where will your business be 10 years from now? And this actually hinges to your business model. So let's say you're like, I am done working one to one with clients and doing the done for you piece. I really want to be speaking on stages and have a fully automated business where I'm selling digital products and doing all of this. Well, then your micro goals or your annual goals aren't going to be about building more capacity for one to one, is it? It's going to be about how do you build that platform that's going to carry you through. So the vision piece is so important. And I recently did a post on Instagram about, the Matildas. And the thing is that even with this sporting team, they had this really clear vision that they were going to be the catalyst for change. And that kept them focused on what they were looking to achieve every step of the way to get there. And it's exactly the same in your business. If you don't know where your business is heading, then you're going to be following advice on the internet. You're going to be just following momentum of the past, and you're not going to be making informed decisions about how to transform your business in this messy middle stage of business. So that is absolutely the starting point. And then from there, we can start to unpick, okay, what does that transformational strategy look like? And how do you move your business towards that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's just so much gold in that one little bit of your conversation. I think that yeah, we do sort of put our head in the sand and what is it? What is that saying? You know, if you don't know what road to take, any road will do. But if you have that vision and mission, and you know, certainly your values set out, I really do feel that vision and mission has a real corporate feel to it. And I know I did a podcast a couple of months ago about that to sort of say, no, as business owners, we still really do need to sit down and do these vision and mission statements. And I think you sort of really just encapsulated exactly why, so you know where you're going.
Yeah. And the mission, in my view, the mission is about the impact for the client, the impact that you're creating for others through your business. The vision statement's the vision for your business. So where's my business moving towards? And that's more of like this internal compass, if you like, for where we take the business. And then the mission is the impact that you create for others through your business. And the values is how you govern your actions. How do you show up? How do you show up for your clients? How do you show up for your team? How do you show up for yourself inside your business? And like that's really the reason I call it the bedrock. It's the foundation of your business. Everything comes up from there.
Yeah, bedrock just makes me think of Flintstones, but maybe I'm showing my age there. But yeah, totally agree. It really is the you know, where we need to build our foundations from as well. So you've mentioned the word scale a couple of times, and I know for my audience members, some of them are kind of like, Jen and Chrissy, I really don't want to scale my business. I don't want to build a big team. I don't want this to be bigger than Ben-Hur. I want to earn X each year, and I want to do it the most simple way that I possibly can. So even if you're kind of not looking to scale big, am I reading scale wrong when you sort of say scale? Like, is that kind of what you're talking about, both ends of scale?
Oh, I love this question so much because I really believe, Jen, that every business owner is unique. Every business is unique. And I'm not a big fan of the rhetoric 7-figure, the rhetoric six-figure, those kind of like, milestones that you should be hitting. And if that's where you're headed, if you're headed for 670,000, whatever, it doesn't matter. Scale is about leverage, right? We're just leveraging your capacity. So you can scale your time with systems. So think about what I said before about doing repeatable tasks as a sunk cost. So let's say you're basically typing the same emails in the client journey for each and every client. That you can scale that with systems, and therefore you're creating more capacity for yourself to be able to either reinvest that into more meaningful tasks in your business or invest that back into your family, which is what I do. I'm all for balance. This is my second business. I've had the burnout. I've had the like working all the hours, doing all the things. And this is why I have the business that I have, because that was completely unsustainable and I blew up my life. So scale is not about reaching whatever you think scale is. It's actually about scaling and leveraging your skills, leveraging your time, leveraging your capacity, leveraging your business operational model.
Yeah, because you talk about operational models helping to support your lifestyle, which is kind of what you're talking about there.
Oh, 100%. So the thing is that let's take that case that you said a moment ago. If you want to have this really simple business and you want to, have time for the people in your family, then you're not going to set up an operational model where you're working in client work for 60, 70 hours a week. So essentially an operational model is the framework of which your business is operating. So, how many one-on-one clients are you taking on? What's your workload? What are the systems and the tools that you have in place to support you? What are the team? And team doesn't have to be a permanent resource. It can be simply that you're hiring someone to help you with those tasks that maybe you're not good at, but what's more important, you're probably good at everything. Like so many business owners, we're savvy, we're so capable, we've been great at learning those skills in the startup stage. But maybe your time is not best spent there. And in which case, why not allocate those resources to someone else who can do that quickly, which frees up your time to either spend with the family or spend in growing your business in a way that feels good for you. It's not a one size fits all. And that's why stepping back into that, the bedrock, understanding vision, mission, and values, as well as, and I didn't mention this before, really identifying your ideal life. People don't do this enough. Like, who's important in your life? For me, my kids, if I'm like doing a stressful launch, my kids just end up being in the firing line for that. So I just don't do it. It just doesn't fit for my vibe. It doesn't fit for my personality. So just because the internet tells me that that's the way that coaches, run their businesses, I say, no, thank you. That doesn't work for Christy Robinson.
Yeah, 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 which is great. And I guess maybe you had to get to a point of burnout to learn those lessons, but maybe sharing your experiences help people not have to get to that stage of burnout before they can learn those lessons, most certainly. I'm not I think that most small business owners, like I said earlier, went into business to create some freedom around their life and some lifestyle. But maybe they just don't put in startup phase, they just can't see how that's possible, which of course is this the next stage that you're kind of talking about as well. So what are some common pitfalls that you find when people are trying to I guess put these systems in places, or put these operational type models in place? What are some of the pitfalls that you come across commonly with small business owners?
I think it's this patchwork, right? So trying to plug gaps or just put pieces in together. And this is why it's really important as business owners, we step back and figure out what we want it to look like first, because there's a lot of advice out there. There's a lot of podcasts, there's a lot of, information on socials. There's a lot of people who are influencing your decisions, and they don't really know what's going to work for you. And that can make you go down a path, just like what you were talking about before. You just head down the road that just, makes sense, makes sense in bunny ears. And I think that, if you don't have that clear view on, what you want your life to look like, what you want your business to look like, you're going to end up patching things together and it's not going to be what you want. You're not going to make transformative change. So really stepping back and figuring out, okay, this is what I want it to look like. Then you can make the plan to move forward, and not feeling obliged to have the team, to have all the systems, to have all the things. It's about what's going to work for your individual personality and what you want for your individual business.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's the role of technology when you're talking about creating these changes and creating more freedom in your business, or designing perhaps, your business a little bit more around your lifestyle? What's like, is most of it up to embracing different technologies to help you do these things?
Oh, I definitely think so. But there's a step before the technology, and that's
Okay.
the strategy piece. So you've got to figure out the role that each platform or each tool that you're going to implement is going to what you want it to do. So what I mean by that is there's a lot of people that says, okay, you need to have a good CRM that can, take people through, an automated setup for onboarding. I am 100% on board for that. But you first need to understand your client journey. So, what is it that I want my clients to experience from my individual brand from the moment that they inquire through to the moment that you're onboarding and starting to work with them? So, you do need to figure out the role that plays. And also, is there something in there that you want to do more manually? And how do you then fit that in? So, it's not that everything has to be streamlined and automated and have workflows and all of those sorts of things. It's actually figuring out, where does the system sit and how do I make that work for my unique business? And Jen, you're all about the marketing tools and the things like that. So there's so many different tools that you can use in your business, but you have to understand first the role that you want it to play in your business. How do you want it to work? And that's that really looking up, from the balcony down onto the dance floor and figuring out, okay, what are the different moving parts? What am I going to automate? Start small. Don't feel like you have to just automate your business from start to finish in one setting either. So, tools are great, systems are great, but they're only as good as the person who's building them.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that because, I'm all about the strategy. So I love that, you put strategy behind that, because I think that's when we start to get overwhelmed with tech. Like I find that, a lot of small business owners get that tech overwhelm. One of my friends wrote a book, The End of Technophobia. Tracy Sheehan wrote that book because it's a real thing. People get, afraid of tech. But I think if they step back, like you're saying, and have a think about the strategy beforehand, beforehand, the tech then makes more sense than just going and go, oh, everybody uses Monday or everybody uses MailChimp or something like that, but thinking about that strategy beforehand.
And really just like, okay, let's start with this one piece of the client journey. Let's get that nailed. Okay, then move on to the next thing, I think is also the key. And, anyone who's listening to this podcast, they're looking to make their business simple. Like that's the whole premise of this podcast, is to simplify your business. So let's not overcomplicate the scaling piece. Let's just make sure we take our time, we get it right, and not bite off more than we can chew. And then all of a sudden you're not able to service your clients over here because you're too busy fixing all the issues with the back end of the business over there.
Yeah, yeah. So if my listener is just, about to have their head fall off because, they've been going like this for about 20 minutes, nodding their head and thinking, oh my gosh, this podcast is actually made for me. This sounds like me. Where should they start? What's your piece of advice that you could give that business owner that feel like they're on the hamster wheel, feel like they just have to touch everything? And, I guess not having the lifestyle that they perhaps wanted when they first went into business.
Yeah, I think that don't act right now. Like that's my biggest advice. I think we go into fix it mode instantly when we suddenly realize we have all these challenges. So don't try and like upheaval your business from the get-go. You've just got to start with the clarity. Start with, okay, what isn't working in my business? What's not feeling good? What's feeling really sticky and I'm not loving anymore? And just start to audit all of the different facets of your business. Think about, who are you working with? What are your services? Like I love to help my clients to simplify their business because, when we start out, we're offering all the things, we're doing all the things for all our clients. We're going over and above. And, there has to be this time where you step back and you say, okay, you know what? I don't love that service. It's not overly profitable. It attracts this type of client. I'm outgrowing that. I feel like this over here is really great. And if I could just spend more time and energy on that, that could feel good. So start asking questions of yourself and your business to get that clarity. Once you have the clarity, that's when you can move into, okay, what is the vision, the mission, the values? Then you can build the strategy. But until you do an audit, until you understand what's going on in your business, your current landscape, what's working, what's not, none of that's going to really give you that opportunity to have, pure clarity on where do we go from here.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you for sharing that. And I think, like we're nowhere near the end of the year, although, we are into probably almost the last quarter of the year, which just seems quite unbelievable. But this is the time for some small business owners, perhaps, not if you're in retail, you're about to ramp up to the busiest time of the year, but it is the time where a lot of us perhaps in the next few months have that time to sit back and examine what happened in the last 12 months or what's happened in business this year. I often do a program at the start of the year about goal setting and things like that. And of course, ask those questions, what worked, what didn't work. And the question that often stumps people the most is, what do you never, ever want to do again? And people really that's quite stumped. Like they're like, do I have to choose one thing that I never ever want to do again? But it's that question of, because that is perhaps where you start to go, radio, do I need it? Yeah, I do. Okay, well, how can I fix that if I don't want to do it then?
Yeah. And the great thing about that question, Jen, is you're breaking a cycle. There is that momentum that's carrying through and you just keep doing what you've always done because it makes sense. And why change what's working? But is it working? Is it what you want to be doing? And just it's so much, you have so much more empowerment when you can ask yourself those critical questions. It gives you the choice, right?
Yeah, definitely. And maybe that's, up to small business owners to share that journey a little bit more because, I know in my business, I'm about to go through an evolution and that just kind of, that little birdie just tapped me on the head and go, well, maybe you need to share that so people know that it's okay to change direction, that it's okay to change your business model and all of that. What worked 12 months ago doesn't mean it has to work for you for the next 2 years or what's not working but you might really want to do it. So how do you change that and start to make it work as well? So great questions and great conversations to perhaps have with yourself or, of course, with a business coach like yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful. Chrissy, this has been such a good conversation. It's been a really, I guess, a bit of a nudge conversation for people to sit back and have a think about their business, have a think about their business model, what's working, what's not working, what's actually making you money. Because at the end of the day, we might love what we do, but we also have to scale it to the point where it's making us money for the lifestyle that we want. So thank you so much. Is there anything that we haven't kind of touched on that you would really like to touch on before we finish up?
I think I just want to bring home the point that you get to choose. You get to choose the life that you want to live. You get to choose the business you want to run. And we need to own that power and make decisions from that place.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, if people are listening and they'd like to get in contact with you, where's the best place to get in touch?
Absolutely. So you can head over to my podcast, which is Run Your Business Like a Boss. I actually had the wonderful pleasure of interviewing Jen. So I'm sure you'd love that episode. We talk about email marketing, all the goodness that can bring to your business. Loved that chat. But yeah, over there, I release weekly episodes on a Tuesday, Australian time. And we talk about this. We talk about the hardships of business. We talk about the realities of business. So yeah, head over there. Otherwise, my website, christyrobinson.com.au. I'm on all the socials as well.
Beautiful. I'll have those links in the show notes. Thank you so much again for sharing your wisdom around getting off this darn hamster wheel that, and sometimes we find ourselves back on it as well, which we probably didn't talk so much. It's not just a hop off it and you're off it forever. Sometimes you find yourself back on it. But really great conversation. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Jen. It's been so great to have this time with you again.
Pleasure. Thanks. I really hope you enjoyed that chat with Christy. She's so amazing and gives so many great. I use amazing too much, don't I? She gives such practical ideas and advice, although general advice, but it still makes sense for us small business owners. If you have any questions for Christy or want to get in touch with her or connect with her on socials, all the links, of course, are in the show notes. But if you Google Christy Robinson, you will pretty much find her. Of course, if you have any questions that have been brought up from listening to this episode, I would love for you to come into my Facebook group, Like-Minded Business Owners. Come and join if you haven't already. But ask some questions in there. I'm sure that Chrissy would be more than happy to answer any questions. And if you have the question, maybe someone else in my community does as well. Just a reminder, you can find the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/266 for this podcast. But that's it. That's it for another episode. If you found it valuable and you have like 30 seconds where you can go and leave me a rating and a review where you are listening, if that's possible, then I would think that's amazing. One of my goals this year has been to reach more people on this podcast. Many of my beautiful listeners have helped me achieve that. And I hope that if you have time, you can leave me a rating and a review as well. Thank you so much in advance. I will see you next week for episode 267. I still do have some spaces in my 4-week email marketing program. If you're keen to do that, head to my website. It's on the front page there. Or you can go to bit.ly, bit.ly, email masterclass with Jen. Links in the show notes. But in the meantime, if we're not already social on social, come and find me on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, TikTok, and let's get a little bit social on social. But remember, whatever you do, my small business peep, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.